Okay, so this is going really well. I'm enjoying this, helping me clarify a lot of things, and it seems to helping you as well. Um, so hierarchy, this seems to be the point of contention. Is hierarchy based on merit and rank? No. I mean, I understand the technical sense of hierarchy that you're trying to articulate, and I see where you're coming from, and I agree with you in the sense that a diseased hierarchy would be like the one that you're talking about, where the top elite level of the hierarchy dictates to the rest of the hierarchy what to do, what's most important. So it's a rule of a small amount of people owning or controlling all the power and forcing the rest to follow in a straight line. Um, but that's not the kind of hierarchy I'm talking about. I mean, I think you would agree that there is a hierarchy in the structure of nature itself, in the sense that life transcends matter, or is higher in the cosmic hierarchy than matter, and mind is higher in the cosmic hierarchy than life and matter. But higher doesn't mean better. It's not a ranking. It's just it's more of a description of the qualities and complexities of the level, because mind includes everything that matter does, because mind is really a function of matter. It's still it can't mind can't disobey physical law. Mind just manipulates physical law in such a way that it gives rise to this higher level property. Um, in the same sense that we can go through this hierarchical natural evolution of the cosmos itself, we can go through, I think, in the same way, the natural evolution of human consciousness. Um, I'm going to grab a book by a guy named Gene Gebser who did this. It's called The Ever-Present Origin. And let's see if I can get this chart out here. Basically divided human history into 5 stages. The archaic, the magic, the mythic, the mental, and the integral. And you can see them all there. Um, Now, the basic idea is that the archaic level is, I don't know if you saw it, zero-dimensional. And this is when human beings are, for the most part, still animals. We haven't really differentiated ourselves from nature, not even to the point where we can form tribes or meaningful cultures of any kind. There's no language, there's nothing to make us feel separate from our own experience, so we're just in the moment all the time, basically. And Gebser calls this origin. And then the next stage of evolution, or the higher, more all-encompassing integration of evolution, would be the magic stage. And magic is one-dimensional, still spaceless and timeless. We haven't really separated ourselves from anything, but we have begun to associate certain events in the world. So this would be, tribal man who is obsessed by magic, and the magic is, when two objects touch each other, all of a sudden they're related somehow, and this is where voodoo comes from, or voodoo dolls. Another way I could describe magic would be when a tribal person would want to catch a wild boar in the forest. They're hunting it. The hunters will draw the boar, picture of the boar in the sand before they start the hunt, and then they will draw spears going into it, and they'll try to convey in the drawing the idea of the boar dying. And as far as they're concerned, if they don't do that, they won't catch a boar. And the fact that they did do it, and that they then catch a boar afterwards, is proof that requires the catching of the actual boar requires that they make this drawing. And so they make this association. They think that the drawing causes them to catch the real boar. Or they also thought that the phases of the moon caused the women to menstruate because they typically lined up for whatever reason, whether it's the gravitational force or the fact that all the women are living together in small tribes. Their cycles it all lined up, and the men really thought that the moon caused the women to get pregnant, and that's why it was a matriarchal society, because none of the men knew that it was their seed or their genes that was being passed on. They thought it was the moon. So then the mythical stage would be like the Homeric Greeks, where they are two-dimensional and still spaceless. And they're aware of time, and time has become this cyclical, seasonal, rotational thing that they don't really have the idea of history like we have it today that goes on and on in a straight line forever and endless progress and development. That's the mental stage. Mythical stage is still the endless recurrence of the same natural cycles. And it's a very oral kind of a culture. The Magic Man is a very vital culture. They worship blood and semen. Mythic Man is a very verbal kind of consciousness. They talk to each other, and you can see the beginnings of rational thought developing. And really, the Greeks also developed into the mental stage of consciousness with Plato and Socrates. The idea of being rational is the most important part of the mental development in consciousness. The mental stage allows us to take a perspective on the world, and in that sense, we become aware of space. But in the same moment we became aware of space, we sort of distanced ourselves from time. We abstracted time into this sequential, digitized framework. And then the final stage, the integral stage, is where all of these stages crystallize, or they become concrete, and we become aware that we are still present in all of these stages of human development. We still use the magic way of making connections between things all the time, like when when the car won't start, and it's chuk 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 chuk. Sometimes we'll stop and we'll just hit the wheel a few times, like come on, chuk chuk chuk, and before we actually get out to go open the hood and try to solve the problem, we just hope that luck is going to make it start. Just bang the steering wheel the right way and it'll maybe start. That's the kind of associative thinking that Magical Man used, and we still use it all the time today. We still use mythical thought. We still enjoy the idea of polarity and the idea that you can't have up without down or past without future, and this kind of cyclical reasoning. It drives rationalists crazy, but it seems to have some kind of validity somehow. And obviously rationality has great validity because it allowed science to develop an objective, or at least very close to objective knowledge of the natural world. Very deep categorization of the natural world, because we have all these names that stand for specific ideas. But the integral stage is really what allows us to be present to all of these stages at once, whereas normally the mental stage wants to have this hegemony over the rest of the previous stages and say, look, those are all primitive stages, and we can transcend those now. We don't have to worry about mythical polar thinking or magic analogies or any of this crap, because we've transcended that. We're better than that now. We can think rationally. But the problem with rational thinking is it abstracts, it makes time into an abstraction, right? So we lose touch with the reality of our experience, because the reality of our experience is so tied into time that when we make time into this chronological numerical system, we almost fragment our own lives. So the point is that this is a hierarchy of the way human consciousness develops, and the integral stage is more integral. It's more all-encompassing, and it takes more views into perspective at once, and therefore it is the more important level, more important than the rational, the mythic, the magic, or the archaic alone.